All right. Well, thank you for joining so late in your evening. Appreciate that.
It's better for me.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
That's good. We'll book more meetings at noon for us then.
There you go. Yeah, it's fine. Well, for tomorrow, it's my son's birthday and everybody's coming over for a party. So it was just,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, first thing is I've just published those changes to the email content so that those changes are now live. So you should be able to see those happening now. And then just quickly on authorize.net. So I'm just going to walk you through what you need to get us, and you can tell me if you have access to this. So when you log into authorize.net and you go to settings,
I've seen this page.
if you click on this right here, manage public client key, we need the thing that's inside there. So you've given us what's inside here, which are the transaction and API keys, but we also need the public client key.
Okay.
So that'll be a long one. It'll be like this big, I don't know, something like 30 or 40 characters.
You want me can I just send over this when we're done with the call, just send it to support. And is that the best way to do it? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, so you can access this. You can get to the screen.
Yeah, I've seen this page. Yeah, I can get there.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So just it's the public client key that you're getting. They're very confusing about their terminology, and it's strange that they separate them. But anyway. So
I was going to take a screenshot.
Oh, I can send this to you actually. Here, let me just get this to you right here.
So I took a screenshot of you.
Memorialized forever. Let's see if I can. Why is this not dragging in? Hold on. Is that loading now? No, that's strange. I'll email it to you.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So Steph, if you want to
actually, I wanted to say hi, Chris. I haven't met you before. Nice to meet you.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. I'm Steph.
So Steph is our designer who's been working on the cruise deck designs. So apologies, I lose track of who she's met. So yeah, and Steph, this is Chris Parker. He owns Rockstar Adventures.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Cool. Now that we got that out of the way. Oh good. Yes. Let me share my screen. And what I'm about to show you is kind of like this rough design that I've put together to kind of explain what we're thinking will the deck picker or like the cabin picker will kind of be like. Okay. So some of these designs, they're a little bit, they're not exactly right for what will be real, but just so you can kind of get an idea of how your traveler will try to book in a cabin.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so on my screen, if you imagine that someone is on your website and they see the embed card and they go to book now. So book now will take them to the trip page. In this, we're proposing that, you know how there's that side menu where it has like the highlights, the itinerary, and the invoice and other things that your traveler can look at before they book. What we're suggesting is adding an extra one where they can specifically like pick their room, pick their cabin, and you'll have free range to change this to specifically what you wanted to say. So for the purposes of this, it's just pick a room so that we can kind of understand where they're going.
Okay, so when they click that button, when you mean pick a room, does it so they won't this deck plan or this image won't be clickable. They have to click one more time.
Oh no, so when they are on the trip page, they can go into pick a room and this is what they will see.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so they'll see this and this will be based off of whatever the deck plan is. And you see these areas.
Yeah,
These
we
are,
wanted to say pick a cabin, but we can worry
Yeah.
about that later.
yeah, exactly. So you can choose the wording to say pick a cabin.
Yeah.
So for this example, this boat has 3 levels.
Mhm.
So there's the Rhine deck, the Danube deck, and the Moselle deck. And let's say that I'm, as a traveler, I want to go onto the Moselle deck. So my cursor goes here and I click on that part of the image. Then it takes me to kind of this zoomed in view of just the rooms, or like where like the main rooms are. And I'm able to kind of drag, pull it around, zoom in more, zoom out a bit if I need to. The grayed out ones are the rooms that are already booked, so I can't see them anymore.
Right, okay.
And then I decide, okay, I want to choose room 416. So I click on that. Then it shows me the details of room 416. So like, this is kind of like similar to the details you put in for the packages. So it's like
Yes.
the image, and like you can say what this room includes. It has like an amazing balcony view, or et cetera, et cetera. And then I decide, okay, yeah, this room sounds good.
Okay.
And I select it.
And all this will be customizable, all the text.
Yes. So these
Perfect.
are just placeholder text for right now, but kind of gives you an idea
No,
of
I
what
like
you
it. I
could
think
put
that
in
looks
there.
really good. It's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. So then once I select it, it'll take me to the invoice page. And it has the information of the room that or the cabin that I chose. And then I can go book now. And once that happens, then it'll prompt me for my registration, and then I'll go into payments.
Perfect.
Does that make sense so far?
It sure does.
Okay, cool. Did you have any questions, thoughts? Here, I'll go back to the front.
Yeah.
So you can have another look. And I'll go through it again. And feel free to like tell me your thoughts, or if you have any questions of what can we change, other things like that.
So, okay, so we're going to go, just so I'm clear, we're going to go from clicking to book now, and it's going to go to a page like this.
Yes.
And above, all above it, there'll be some information on the trip itself.
Yeah. So up here is where you have the banner image, the dates, the pricing, like those things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, imagine you scroll down the page a little bit and you come to the menu.
Okay.
And they could
Yeah.
click to highlights or itinerary. So if they're not sold yet, they could just click off to highlights or itinerary to explore more, and then come back to pick a cabin.
Okay.
But the idea is hopefully they're just like, oh yes, and just go through the checkout process. I imagine that's not always how it works, but maybe after they've seen it one time, when they come back through, they'll just go ahead and pick.
Usually when they come to our site, they're coming to the site to book a trip. They already know about it. They've already been told about it. They're already sold. They're coming just to book it.
Then perfect. Then that information is there if they want to refer to it, but their primary path is to pick a cabin.
However, I want this to be, we're going to start some SEO stuff. We're going to try and see where we can take this business. We're growing super quick right now. So I like the way I like the way it's laid out. It looks good.
We've toyed with the idea of maybe allowing you to put some text in that gray box that's above this.
Yes.
But I think there is the danger that you end up distracting. So I just wanted to check with you in terms of what might you put there if we gave you that space.
The other thought that I have, like if you don't want to clutter it or anything, you want to just keep it very focused. Let's say that if, for example, someone decides they want to change their room. So in that space, so let's say I chose 416, but I decided, I want 417 because I like the number 7. whatever.
Whatever, sure.
Yeah, whatever. So I decided to change it. And what we could do there in that space is kind of have what I have selected, and I can remove it if I don't want it anymore, or just reselect a different room. So if you don't want to clutter it with instructions or anything, that's another option.
Well, I think, can we use buttons to direct, to tell them what we want them to do? So in other words, when we go back, because people don't want to think, don't make me think, you know, our clientele is, some of them are pretty techie, but some of them aren't. We've got some that are in their 70s. So I guess right here, can we put a button that clicks, that says click to view available cabins or something, so it's real obvious what they're supposed to do?
Oh,
Even
so
though it's on the menu, even though it's on the menu on the left, I think we need a button someplace or something so it's simple.
So it's kind of like when you go book tickets to go to watch like a musical or something, there's sometimes they have a button that's like best available or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but just you know, to check the inventory or something, I guess. To me, I think it makes more sense. Because I want it to be, I don't want to have to think when I'm doing this, because you just don't. Nancy, what do you think? Here, let me bring Nancy. This is.
All right.
Hey there.
This is,
Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
this is
Hi.
Nancy, my wife, and we're partners in this thing.
Okay, so what?
So
Nice
let's
to meet you.
Let's see if Chris can explain it back to Nancy what we're looking at.
Okay, that's a good idea.
So I'll start over here.
So what's going to happen is this is when say, for example, they're on our website.
Mhm.
They would click on
Okay,
this,
book now.
book now, and it would take them to the next page. Above it would be all the trip information up in here, like it is now. And then this would be on display. We've got to figure out, what do we do with this space?
So trip information, you mean what? Just like the sale date or the?
Yeah, the price and all that kind of stuff is all above here.
Yeah, it's above the fold, so you just don't
Right.
see it in this screenshot, but it'll all, the banner and that information will be above there. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, do you want the ship information in there?
Okay, what is this gray box? What can
It's just an empty space to have this conversation about.
Okay,
like-
okay.
But yeah, it's what would you want here? Remembering that you already have a highlights page and an itinerary page. You have like what's the tour and all the details and who's Rockstar and all of that on other tabs.
Right.
Mhm.
This is meant to be focused in on just picking a cabin.
Which is exactly what we want.
But maybe
Right.
you need a little bit of extra context. Maybe you do need to provide instructions, even if it's just click on the image below to proceed, right?
Mhm.
Like, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on what you as
Well-
users would kind of want to see there.
Right. What about, okay, so I see the color coding for the type of cabin. Where do you tell them how they know if it's available?
Mm.
They have to click one more time
Okay,
to get this.
okay.
Steph, I was going to ask you, is there a reason why we have to make them pick a level? Could they just pick the room at the top level without having to zoom in? If their eyesight's good enough and the image is big enough, can they just pick 416 one level up and just use the plus minus to zoom in and out?
Well, my thought was because there are usually deck levels on a boat. So
Mhm.
some people might prefer to be lower down. Some people might choose to have a room that's higher up. Like it kind of depends. So even from what I understand, and based off of the other places that I've seen, they often ask people to choose a deck level first before going into a room. Because like that seems like to be the common pattern.
Right, or even you would choose a category type. And then from there, they would tell you which level you can choose from. So say if you were wanting, see, this is a little bit different because everything, yeah.
It's
This
an
is
example image, like for for your version, it'll have the kinds of ships that you use.
Mhm.
But this is one of your ships.
It is.
It is.
This is the one
Yeah.
we want you to do first.
It is, and they're all small, so you're not going to have like the same category on multiple levels. It's going to probably
Each level will have
its own category,
for
and
the
then-
most part. There
and
may
then-
be, yeah, for the most part.
right?
Can you remove those highlights, the gray and the red, just for a second,
Yeah.
just so we can see what that looks like without that? Yeah, like
It's pretty legible.
what if they
Yeah.
could just pick from this? And if they need to zoom in, like they can, like on the mobile device, they'd need
I'd
to
rather
zoom
have it this
in.
way. I'd rather have it like this.
And then they choose the deck.
I would rather have that image right, so they don't have to, so when they click to the trip page, they're already kind of pre-sold, and we can put some stuff on the top, and it'll depend on how I'll need to see I'd like to see the trip information and this, but if we could make that live.
I think maybe what you need is, instructions, and then telling them how they know if it's available or not. Like if you look at airplane seat map, it has a color if it's available, another color.
Right, but go to the next
Okay.
screen. If you go to the next screen, this shows you what it looks like when cabins are booked. They're grayed out.
Oh, okay, got you. Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
as long as we
that's
can
pretty
have all of
obvious.
that, yeah, then it's obvious. I mean, if they can't select it, they can't select it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
hold
I
on.
mean,
If
we
I
could if we could just make it live right on that page, it'd be better.
So for example, like this is rough, but if it was like these ones were grayed out,
Mm-hmm.
but I could select and I'll just make this just so that we can see it easier. Kind of like that. And to the point that some of your customers are older, I think it would still be better to tell them what the colors mean.
I think so.
I agree.
Yeah, so hold on, let me just move your videos over here so I can do stuff. So for example, if this one was here, then this one here, and then you can say like already booked or whatever wording.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
is
right.
Selected.
Yes.
Yes.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only other option I can think of is on top, you could have the types of categories and they would select it from the top. But I agree that if one less page to have
Yeah,
to
they
click
can-
to would be better.
When they click and they land on that, that's what we want, because people are coming to our site to book.
No, but it's just one less click.
It's, yeah,
Yeah, I think the one less click is nice for these small boats in particular.
Mhm.
yeah.
What do you think about the zoom control? Like, so keeping in mind that on a mobile device, it will be, they will need to zoom in. Like, that's just, the nature.
Yeah,
It'll
I
be,
think that's
it'll be
fine.
too
I think
small
so.
and they'll have to zoom
Yeah.
in.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Do you get a lot of mobile bookings? Do you know off the top of your head?
We don't know.
I have no
We haven't,
idea.
we're gonna
Don't
want to
look at that
private
data.
label that. We're gonna want to private label that app, but we're just not ready yet.
Okay. Well, and just, I'm talking about just the responsive version. So just on a mobile browser. So not even an app, but
So if we look at
yeah.
this one, I prepared this earlier. So if we pretend that you're on your phone,
Okay,
and then that's the same embed card, the trip embed card, and you click book now. I'm on your website. I go to book now. And then it would take me to here. So it would be similar to so it'd be like this. Even smaller.
Yeah, but on a phone, I mean, people, you're used to blowing stuff up on a phone.
Yeah,
all
you're
the
used to it.
time.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's, yeah.
Okay, good.
You can kind of
And
imagine it like this.
yeah, and so they could obviously, you know, pinch and zoom, or if that's non-intuitive, they can click the plus minus to zoom there.
I
Just
think the pinch
that's
and
like a
zoom
visual
is-
hint. Mm,
Pinch and zoom is what most people are used to.
That's what they're used to.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. So in terms of availability, one question I had for you guys, we're trying out here a sort of an opaque thing where the whole thing is grayed out. Is there ever a time when actually you want them to be like a bit more subtle so they can kind of see what the number is, but they can kind of
Yes.
see that it's not
Yes.
available, like a bit?
Yes, we do.
We want to just grayed out. That would be
We-
better for they're just grayed out.
No, I would like them to be able to see the number, because if they're booking next to their friend,
They
and
might-
say it's not consistent, like.
Well,
where
and
you-
if it's connecting cabins,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, one's booked and the other one's not.
Right, I think that you would still want to be able to see the number for people that are trying to book next to somebody.
I agree.
Do you think that's doable, Steph, without it being confusing?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
The thing that makes it a little bit confusing though, because these images tend to be very colorful.
Mhm.
So they tend to have like the color coding for the type of the category that the room is. That it's not as easy to tell that something is booked out. So like if I show you kind of like here, so you can still see the number here. And this
Mhm.
is that kind of making it a little duller,
Mhm.
but it's not as obvious anymore.
Yeah, and they won't be able to select it anyway, right? Because it's already going to be taken from inventory. So I think as long as they can see the room number,
Mhm.
I think, and it's clearly booked, or yeah, that's perfect. Maybe even a little lighter, right?
No, I like it.
You like it
I
like
think
that?
it's- yeah, it's
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so not too much lighter because then it'll be a little
No, I
harder.
know.
So maybe like this.
I kind of like what
Actually-
you had before.
Yeah, I think so too.
I can't see
Mhm.
those numbers anymore.
No, I liked it before.
Okay. So we'll bump that down a little.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the important thing here is exactly if you won't be able to click on it. So
Mhm.
like when you put your cursor over 417, it'll activate as a link, but you know, whereas the other ones won't. So
Right.
Right.
that hint, and then from a mobile perspective, it'll just be, if you tap on the gray ones, nothing will happen. If you tap on the 417, it'll pop up the description.
Okay. Okay.
So do you think you'll ever have a time when they're entering they're selecting their cabin, that they will enter their passenger information? Because right now you just have the lead person. Do you have any plans on adding a second person field?
Yeah, when they click the book now button, it opens a registration. You can actually enable it so it asks them to register multiple people at that stage.
Okay.
And if you make your cabins have a, I think we call it a sort of room capacity of 2, for example, then when they book it, it will automatically add a second person. And after they check out, it'll prompt them to give a name for that second person.
Perfect.
Okay. And then do you have abilities to do like triples and quads as well?
Yep, exactly. So then you just set the capacity to 3 or set the capacity to 4, and it will
Okay, cool.
automatically add. So you can either, some people prefer to simplify the registration process, so they just get the name of the primary and then get the info after, but you can also allow that person at registration to select, there you go, yeah, the number and group. So you see
Okay.
there,
Yes.
they can choose 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.
Yeah.
Steph. Yes.
Because we do have to capture their legal names for the vendor of all the
Yes.
passengers.
Right.
It's been in there too long.
What would happen if somebody goes through the booking process, selects a cabin, but doesn't finish the booking process?
So then they're not holding it. So that's an important thing to recognize. Like there's no timer, there's nothing, like if they want the cabin, they need to click and pay. because there's
Okay.
no hold placed on
Okay,
that
good,
cabin.
Perfect.
And so, yeah, so the next time they come back, if they've registered and picked a cabin but haven't paid, if it's still available, it will still be there for them.
Sure.
But if it's not available anymore, it'll tell them they need to pick something else.
Okay.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right, looping back. So Steph, which one is this part of another flow that we need to go through, or oh, I see.
No,
Yes,
no, no.
that's-
It's just me
yeah.
continuing it, just so that we
Yes.
understand we're all on the same page where the book now goes to, the payment stuff. So
Yeah, thank you. Right, and so actually this is really important. We've designed this so they can pick a cabin before we know who they are, right? Because it's kind of that, like, get them hooked in and then ask them who they are. Now
Right.
they could click to register, you know, or you could have invited them on already, and so all their information's already entered. But just this flow is they're anonymous, they hit your website, they come to the page, they're still anonymous, we still don't know who they are. They pick 416. And then if you scroll to the next step, it pops up, right? And then they click select. Yeah. So they're kind of, you know, it's just sort of confirming, like, this is what you wanted, right? Click select, and that takes them into the next step here. Now they have to click book now to put in their information. And so the next step is actually when they click book now, they can't pay yet because they have to tell us who they are. And then as soon as they tell us who they are, then it'll prompt them for credit card and payment and all that stuff. But it'll remember everything that they've picked up to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. People, they do get turned off with having to give too much information before they can see what's available.
So this is the right design to have it available publicly.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
I agree.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, then you get to explore and you fall in love with the room and you really, really want it. And then you're willing to give all the information to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So any other thoughts, you know, just in terms of stuff that you really wanted that maybe we've forgotten or missed off from our earlier conversations, just in terms of, you know, what's your key goal here with this new integration?
Well, this is just another step we can push off to the customer. They pick their cabin. We don't have to pick it for them. And it manages it combines a bunch of our business, a bunch of our tasks right now. We have to manage our inventory, you know, it's all manual, and this is going to just make things automated. I think it makes a ton of sense.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Something you said about the inventory, actually, in terms of the category of the room. So we were thinking deck level, but you were thinking maybe actually category of room is a better filter, or, you know, more of the way they buy.
Yeah, only because these small ships don't have many decks. I mean, we're only looking at, you know, 3 decks on these smaller vessels.
Right.
And what's happened so far is it sells from the top down. The suites sell first, and then the next highest category. So we always have a hard time selling the cheapest stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard that. It's amazing.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Right.
So, Steph, I think really it's going to be the same, because it's the package from the invoice is really what that data is. So
yeah, it is.
What you're calling category, we call package, and you can relabel that to say category.
Okay.
But what she's mocking up kind of in that top area is really, if you scroll over to the invoice one, without the deck integration, they would be, you know, picking from this drop down, but we're going to lock that. In fact, maybe we even hide it in this one. Maybe we move it from there to the other screen.
Yeah.
And so it'll select, you know, say select a category. But then it would need to, like, what, highlight them on the deck plan? When you pick it, what would it do if you picked it there?
So theoretically, if in my example, if like we did French balcony, and then there's a button or something, then I imagine that, let me just change the colors here. So these ones are the ones that are booked out already.
Mhm.
So just so that we have that there as an example. That one is selected. So hold on. And I think we could either have them highlighted, so in a different color that makes it pretty obvious.
It's so tricky because of the different
Yeah.
colors of the cabins.
It's hard with the colors of the pictures. So I have to choose a
Yeah.
color that is really in your face, or mute all the other ones. It's like if we wanted to highlight them. So for example, it would end up being something like this. So let me just move that.
See, now that you're doing that, I can see that if you had a drop down and you chose French balcony, where it would be better if it went to another page with just the French balconies on it. You know, instead of having to highlight it.
What if it just zoomed in to basically like
that's an option.
Yeah.
Right. So if the
Yeah.
French balcony is
Like the
there,
highlighting like that.
yeah.
So then if I chose French balcony, oh, actually, hold on. Let me just bring this over here so I don't completely mess this up later when I have to go fix it. So, okay. So let's say that I chose the French balcony. And where is my things? Design live for your entertainment.
It's like watching a magician, right? How do they do it?
Oh, wow. Things. So you could kind of imagine, oops, hold on, wrong button. Still wrong button. This one, there we go. So like maybe it just shows this portion where the French balcony is.
Yeah, I mean that, or yeah, you like, then I see where that next page would have maybe worked better if you're, if you're just selecting the category type. Yeah, that looks good.
In the cases where they're all, and are they generally clumped together like that? Or is there sometimes when the same category is like on all 3 decks?
Star Clipper, are there any?
Well, there's multiple categories on one deck, but there's not categories on multiple decks.
Okay, so you're always zooming in on you're always zooming in on one deck if you're picking a category. Exactly. Okay.
So like in this case, French balcony would not be on deck 1 and deck 2. It would only be on deck 1.
But you would need to make sure that they can't select the suites.
Well, the suites would be sold and they'd be grayed out.
But not at first. So, but they would be grayed out because you can't select them because they're not French balconies.
That's a good point, actually. So maybe we don't call it a filter. Maybe we call it a zoom, right? Because sure, you zoom in on French balcony, but then you realize, oh no, I want the suite, right? I picked the wrong category.
But
I mean, we shouldn't block them.
Out, right?
But when they're not booked, we need to think about when they're not booked.
Oh. Well, but when they click it, it gives them a page on here's what it is, here's what you're buying, here's what your prices are.
Right.
Here's the details. It's not a French balcony, it's a suite. So maybe they take it.
Right. And that would be fine.
Yeah.
So we don't want to block them. So we don't actually want to filter, just to get the right technical language, because we don't want to exclude them from being able to pick a suite that happens to be next to a French balcony.
Right. But
it's probably better.
on a normal, like a cruise platform, like Cruising Power or, you know, Princess or whatever, once you pick a category, it is going to gray out all the rest other categories other than that category that you pick.
And that's why I'm checking if that's the behavior that you want here, because it doesn't have to be that way, right? We can just use it as a zoom rather than using it as a filter that excludes the others.
Yeah, that would be fine, just because there's not going to be a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of category choices. It's not like we've got, you know, 24 categories. Now there may come a point in time where there is going to be a vessel that we do use that will have multiple French you know, like 2 levels of French balcony. But if you're just doing a zoom, you can just zoom into the 2 levels.
Right.
Well, no, right.
And look, Steph, we can go back to Dev and check if there's a way to do something like bold the numbers or something like that. I don't know if that's possible. You know, if French balcony is selected, can we like change the font or the boldness of the number of those rooms just to make them pop a little bit? So I don't know if that's possible or not, but would that work if we could?
The other thing that you maybe could do is the drop-down menu where it says French balcony, you could have that highlighted the same color as the French balcony. I don't know if that's a possibility. It just,
we probably wouldn't be able to put it in the drop-down box, but we could put it next to it so that we could like effectively make it kind of like a legend. So French balcony and then the color block,
like it is
right?
Below. Yeah.
Just to reinforce, like you've picked this one and we can change that color block based on changing that drop-down. Okay.
Something like this.
Yeah,
something like that, maybe.
And you know, for all I know, we can actually include that inside the drop down, but it can be tricky. So I'm going to suggest, just in case, we'll put it outside.
I don't know if we need that step.
What's that?
That's the extra step. I don't know if we need to zoom in.
I think so.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
The extra step of picking a category.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like optional. Like, you know how Chris earlier you were saying it would be great if we had like a best available or like those kinds of like an action that we could have at the top. So here, someone would have the option to narrow it down and see what's available for French balcony, or they could just interact with the map and like click on it there.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah, so it's not like they have to start here. They could do either.
Okay.
Right, but I do feel that most people choose a category first.
Yeah, what's there? If there's a way we can do best available, because that's what everybody takes is the best available cabin. When they come to book, they want the best available.
How do we know what does that mean to be best available? Is that just the most expensive?
Yeah, exactly. I know it. We would have
subjective.
It creates a lot more work.
I mean, that's one thing that's happening right now is nobody chooses a cabin. We are assigning everybody's cabin. Nobody gets a choice, which is kind of nice.
Well, do you want the price showing next to the category? Because we know what these categories prices are. So that tells you, if you want the best, you pick the one with the highest price, right? I mean, that's.
Let's say that this one.
Yes, we would want. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So then, and Steph, that's exactly the drop-down box that we have on the other one. So we'll basically just take the exact same formatting, which is the.
What price are you going to put there, per cabin or per person?
Per cabin.
Is that per cabin? Okay.
I don't think that's a good idea.
You want that normally we show per person pricing, but.
Okay, we can do per person. We just have to make sure it's clear that it's, but here's the thing is if it's a single, I guess we'll have to just manually adjust if we offer single supplements or something, but for a balcony, it's 200%.
So then will that price be per person minus the port taxes and fees, or is it gonna be inclusive?
Per person is not including taxes and fees. That's just the package, the sort of the base per person price.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, this is like when you're setting up your packages in YouLi. So if you want a different one, if you want a single supplement, or you would make different packages. So if you have one with a balcony, that's priced differently than one without a balcony. That needs to actually be two different categories or two
Right,
different
okay,
packages.
right.
Yeah.
See, I don't think I would put the price up there.
No?
Mm-mm. I wouldn't. I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, this is about addressing the sort of like best available, like a way to kind of get at that is putting the price tag on it, gives people a hint. You can make it so that they have to click on it. Then we can show the price. Do we show the price in the pop out?
Oh, like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
Well, where do they see the
Oh, no,
price?
actually, no, we don't. Sorry, no, we don't.
So let's make sure that gets added in. And so we do make it clear, and you can change it. We default to pricing per person, and I would strongly recommend that, but we can when we put it onto this screen, we'll say the price, and then there's a string that you can customize, but it defaults to per person. And so you can change that to PP or, whatever, but otherwise it'll be per person.
All right, so now let's rehash if we want the price up there. If we don't put the price by the category, then where are they seeing the price? Are they seeing the price before
Here.
they go to deck plan?
So no, they see it when they click from the deck plan to here.
So they wouldn't see the price before then.
But then they don't have to select it. Then they still have to select it.
Right, but they have to select it before they see the price. So maybe, I think you're probably right that the price should then go.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. If they don't see the price before then.
Yeah, it's just when they click to open the pop-up would be the first time they would see the price, unless it's shown there. Yeah.
Just has to make sure it's very clear that it's per person, not including taxes and fees.
Do you want to just put per person in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on double.
So this is where I'm wondering whether or not you do need a block of text somewhere to articulate, because you don't want to put too many words in a drop-down box, because then they just don't see them all. And that's something that applies, like the no taxes and the double occupancy would be something that would apply to all your categories, not just to this one French balcony one.
Right.
I think per person definitely keep there, because that's it's a big difference. But yeah, I am still wondering if maybe there is room for a little block of explanatory text.
Right. So if we put per person with an asterisk, and then you can go below and put the asterisk, what that means, based on double occupancy, port taxes and fees are extra, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And so we would just give you space to put whatever you need to put there, because maybe you also want to refer to your terms and conditions, maybe, whatever process you start to evolve and realize. And if people ask you questions and you're like, oh, let me answer that question right here before you pick. Or
I would want to put that down below. That's considered fine print. I would put that down below the legend.
Ah, okay, great. Yep, happy with that.
Then it's not as intrusive.
Yeah, I like that, actually. That's
But
really
it's
nice.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, very good. Okay. Well, it's funny, sometimes people, and especially these days with like cancellations and stuff, I'm getting a lot of requests to make terms and conditions more prominent. Not so fine printy and a lot more like in your face.
Right. Well,
and we can add a link, our terms and conditions link.
Well, no, and we're making them click that they've read the terms and conditions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, that's actually really good feedback, is to kind of move that section down there. And in fact, I might even suggest that that's just duplicated content for what you have on the invoice page, which is a pricing explanation where you would have all of this in there as well. So I think I might suggest and we can review this as we go along to confirm, but I would suggest first we try it just being the same content on both the invoice and here. It's just kind of the fine print that follows them around. And if you find yourself wanting to make them different, then you can let us know and we can make that change, but just reduce the amount of setup work you have to do on every trip.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, the pricing explanation, Steph, is what that comes from. Oh, this is really good. Thank you, Steph, for being so responsive. This is very hard, what she's doing, by the way, designing live.
Designing live it's a skill. It is definitely a skill.
You make it look easy, that's for sure.
I have to listen what your discussion is while doing it at real time.
So this is really great. I think we've gotten some excellent feedback from you guys. So we have a bit to chew on. So I think, some key takeaways here is definitely have a bit more of a transparency on the booked rooms. We're gonna have more thought on the select a category thing, but it looks like we'll have it be a select that like zooms or emphasizes that category, but you can still pick the other ones. So just because you picked French balcony above doesn't mean you can't choose to book the suite from the map, right? So we've agreed that this is something you get to see on a public page. So just to reinforce this, anyone on the internet, when you publish this, will be able to see your room availability. So as long as that's fine, which I agree, I think it's a good idea, but just to be super clear, if at any point in time you do have a trip where you don't want that to be true, make it a private trip. Okay. And then that won't, then no one but the people you invite to it will be able to see it.
Right. Well, we could also, if we wanted to, we could go and block out some of the rooms just by booking them, making a phone.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, so there's a few things in terms of like the packages. You can make packages hidden from travelers as well. So up to you. So we can talk a little bit more about whether or not you would take out whole. Like, would you just do rooms or would you do whole categories?
Just rooms.
Just rooms. You would just block out a room. When you say block out a room, you're just sort of like holding it for someone, or?
Yeah. Like, so say, for example, we know that we're going to use 4 cabins for staff.
Okay.
But we're not sure who it's going to be yet. So we're going to block 4 of them out.
So on that point, actually, that's a good question about the process of building these maps. So when you give us a deck plan, we're going to sit down with you and agree on what all the categories are. So in this case, there's 4. We'll agree. Is that right? You're going to have 4 pricing packages in YouLi because we need to make them match. So we'll need you to build the YouLi trip page first, put in all your categories with all your pricing, and we all agree that's all there is. So then we can line those up perfectly between the map and what you've set up as the packages. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of blocking out rooms, do you want us to just not even make it clickable on the map, right? Because there's lots of non-clickable areas on the map. Or do you want to just add your staff as placeholders on the trip and just book them onto rooms?
I would rather add the staff in as placeholders.
Okay. Great. So then we would still sort of map them, but then you'll take that extra step of removing that from the inventory as soon as it's built.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, because we may end up selling a cabin or something.
Yeah, because see, what happens is sometimes we'll say, oh yeah, well, we're going to put ourselves in a French balcony, but then we find that we need one. So then we downgrade ourselves to sell that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, great. So that's just something, Steph, maybe take a note on that. I just want to double check how to hold that room. I'm pretty sure what you would basically do is add yourselves, set your personalized price to $0 and put yourself in that room.
Right.
And then because you owe 0, you have booked it.
Right. That's what we're doing basically now.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that that's how you'll sort of hold it or book it. And that's actually also the way that you can do a hold for someone who's not ready to pay. You could actually set their pick the room and then set their personalized price to 0. and then that effectively books that room because they have paid what they owe and they're in that room and therefore it's theirs. Right. So just in case you ever did want to hold it and then later on you can just clear out their personalized price and put it back and then they can do the payment. Not sure you'd ever really want to do that, but just
I
letting
mean,
you know
couldn't
that.
you just put a payment of $1 in?
Yes, you can do that as well. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that sounds a little bit safer to
Yeah.
me
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's fair. Yeah.
than losing $1 instead of the whole cabin.
Well, and you can always
Price difference.
record a manual payment and then delete that manual payment.
Right.
So you can mark it as $1 and held, and then when they're ready
Right.
to actually pay, you just delete that manual and then they pay the full amount. So
Yeah, because my concern is that you forget to delete that out, and then all of a sudden
Right.
somebody just got So I mean,
Right.
I can give up $1. So
Yeah, that's fair. Very
Yeah.
good point.
I actually had that happen for the first time today to hold rooms at a all-inclusive. They charge the card $1 and they don't even charge again until like 30 days prior. And I've never seen that before. And I was like, that's really smart just to charge $1. So, I mean, I'm just saying as far as if it's less risk for us to make a mistake and lose, $500 or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's really good. So just as we discussed, the first deck plan will be included in the delivery of this first version. And so we're going to work through this together, the sort of operational side of like mapping this out. So in fact, if you want right now, do you already have your trip for this boat? Do you already have it? It's already loaded.
Yep.
If you could just email me a link to the one that is the one, and then we can start looking at how that maps, and we can start asking you questions so that we can start building. It's an SVG map that we have to build to take this image and make it clickable and aligned to those fields. So, so that's great. If you guys already have it loaded up, then we can start testing this out.
I guess we'll check and see if we've got all the cabins that are reserved and payment and everything.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape. I think we are
too.
All right. So we will go back. Steph will process all of this in a more detailed level. But I think it looks like probably the next iteration will probably want to be just confirming with you on like how you're going to use it. So like sitting down and going through the map in detail, because sometimes that's where you find the issues with the design.
Right.
Reality is always more complicated than what we think. So
Right.
I think that's probably going to be my suggestion for our next call is to actually walk through, okay, which rooms are we mapping? Who's already taken? Which ones do you want to hold? Oh, this one has a weird thing. And then hopefully at the end of that, we'll have enough information that we can actually draw the map. And if not, then we'll have found an issue that we need to adapt to.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Sounds good.
So we'll hopefully be able to book that in next week, but we'll sort of keep you posted. Are you available late next week?
Yes.
Yep. Great. All right. Well, we'll keep the ball rolling. And once you get me that client key, I'll turn on authorize.net for you to start taking charges. Just a quick one on that. I'm sorry. Did I miss the trick? Were you always going to be on authorize.net?
No.
Oh, what happened?
We're on strike.
Here's what happened. We started loading all of the inventory, not realizing that an automatic email was going to go out. So what happened was the guy was here, our IT Matthew, and Nancy, and all of a sudden Nancy goes, wait,
I just got a payment.
we just got a payment. What's going on? And all of a sudden, ding, 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 all day long, the cash registers kept ringing. We thought it was hilarious because we had no idea.
But
So
what happened? Yeah.
What happened was it was almost $90,000 of charges within the first week on strike, and it freaked them out. Really, I mean, we raised a bunch of red flags, and they thought it was So they said, listen, we can't help you, but authorize.net, our sister company or whatever.
Yeah, they just asked us for a bunch of information about what we're doing and how we're doing it, and they said that we were too high of a risk, and so they turned us over to authorize.net.
Well, here was they asked for all of our credit card processing history for the last, they first asked for 3 months, we had no chargebacks. Then they asked for the next 3 months, we had no chargebacks. So I gave them the next year, and we had no chargebacks in the last year. So it's like,
Wow.
I said, we don't have chargebacks, because that was their big concern, that they had a
Yeah.
big liability. So
Yeah.
it's all working out.
Yeah, that's so interesting. This is starting to be a trend. Stripe is quite seems to be oddly risk averse. You'd think that $90,000 coming in would be exactly the kind of customer that they're looking for.
Right, but it's travel. Yeah,
It's travel. It's just got a bad
travel.
rap, and there was a lot of chargebacks during COVID, and it was just
Right.
it was
We
really
know
ugly.
a lot of agencies that lost their charging privileges. We were lucky we didn't.
Ah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Then I'm glad that we're able to support you on this. Normally we don't move this fast, so I do want to just
Okay,
normally we
thank
take a
you.
little bit longer to do these sort of integrations. So we're just double checking some things, and I'll let you know as soon as we get the client key through.
Okay.
But fingers crossed, we will get you live this week on authorized.net. So yeah, and I'm glad we have an alternative for you.
Well,
Yes.
when would you know if we're not going to be able to let
I should know by the end of the day, because I'm going to run a live charge of $1 through to your account,
Okay.
just to make sure all the plumbing's connected. And then once that goes through, now I won't see your dashboard because I don't have access to that, but our systems will tell us that it's gone through. I'll send
Well,
you a
we
note that
tested it
says,
today.
Yeah.
We did run
no,
a charge.
I mean through YouLi.
No,
right,
YouLi.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So I
and
just
I'll-
need to do
Okay.
that check, and then
Okay.
once I'm confident that that's working, I'll let you know. And if we run into an error, I'll let you know what we're running into and whether or not we can resolve it this week. So
Okay.
I'm just, like I said, we've got a lot going on, and normally clients give us like a couple of months notice on integrating payment gateways. So
Right.
So
Well,
I
Sorry, this was it just happened. It's
no,
just-
and then it took a while to get to get accepted on authorized.net as well.
yeah, it took us.
oh,
Yeah.
It was not a seamless process. They asked for all kinds of
And then they
information.
came back and asked for more, and then we were gone. So that didn't help either. So
Right.
we got accepted while we were gone, and I was getting daily emails. Have you set it up? I'm like, and so Matthew tried to get it, but then that threw up a red flag that somebody else in Atlanta was trying to access our stuff in Tampa. Yeah.
Well,
so-
and we were under the impression it was going to be just like Stripe. It was going to be an easy transition. You get it set up, and now we realize that it's not.
no. This is why everyone uses Stripe, because they're so easy to use.
It was.
Oh,
I
okay.
really liked the week that we had them.
Yeah. Authorized.net, their UI is old and whatnot. And it's really unfortunate that that these new companies are sort of like abandoning all these traditional, businesses to these older platforms. But my hope is that as they get bigger and more mature, Stripe will be able to take on more risk and stuff like that. Or maybe authorized.net will, catch up. So
I feel like it's going to be the other way around. Stripe's gonna do it.
But either way, the important thing is that you get your money in. And so we recognize that if that's what authorized.net does for you, then that's what you pick.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, I'll get you that URL right away.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Have a good
All right,
night.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.